So today's topic, finding purpose after a relationship, right? After a breakup. I think number one, never easy. And my hope is as we go through this video, you're able to give yourself time and look at these strategies, plug them in. I think one of the most important places to start, after a breakup is really recognizing like the emotional impact, right? We had this genuine relationship with somebody else. And because of that, because you invested so much time and so much energy, right? You heard stories, you shared moments, right? Really precious, unique moments. Of course, it's going to be hard just to, magically make it go away, right? Pretend like it wasn't real. So you're going to feel, right? Your life after a breakup it can feel maybe like this town, right? Or this city after a storm just hits it, right? The person who was your home, right? This person that was a safe space, right? It's gone, right? There's rubbles now, and then you're thinking to yourself after the storm is gone, it's just really hit this whole city. What do I do, right? And after a breakup, you feel many things, right? You may feel lost. You may feel like you don't even know yourself anymore, right? Or know who you are without them, right? And so far, be kind, be compassionate, be loving to yourself. I want you to plug in there somewhere to know. And if I could put it in highlight and bold, I would say, look, you're not broken, but your pain that you're going through after a hard relationship, it's real, right? It's a sign, and I think this is important. It's a sign that you've loved deeply, right? It's a sign that you have loved deeply. So where do you go from here, right? What's that next step? How do you move this forward? What's true healing? And I think it's moving, right? I think that's a key part. It is moving, not running, right? Not moving like molasses, but moving at a pace where you're able to have these two parts. You're grounding yourself to heal, and then you're building a new life with purpose, right? That is 100% yours. Now, grounding yourself, right? Grounding yourself in healing. So before you can build, right? Before you start to build X, Y, or Z, you have to honor and you have to give space to grief, which can be extremely difficult. I've done some videos on grief, so I encourage you to go watch those or visit the Santos Counseling website. It's a whole blog with grief insight there. And then, of course, the option of therapy is always there. Reach out to a counselor over at Santos Counseling. Be happy to help with grief. Right? You're not just missing, right, that person. Right? There's a grief of the future because you've invested so much time and energy with that relationship. Now, right? And now it's shattered, right? The rubble is left. So you're grieving what could have been, the stories, the places, the things you were going to do. And, I think we hear all these messages online that says, just get over it, think positive, blah, blah, blah. And there's good in them while they lack, right? They lack that genuine amount of just, I need time. I need space. I need to have a process through this. So you know what, my friend? I want you to schedule time where you schedule time and call it sadness, right? Set a timer, 15 minutes. You let yourself just be sad. You let yourself grieve. And in that time, you give yourself full permission to feel, to experience what you're going through. After that timer goes off, it goes off, right? You got to get up. You got to move forward. Go splash some cold water in your face, right? Move to a different setting. Go outside. Let that cool air hit you. What this does is it teaches your brain that you, my friend, you're in control. You're in control of the pain that you're going through and not the other way around, which is really key, whether it's this or many other things in life. Right. Next, we have to break some cycles that go into healing after a breakup. And one of the key cycles, there's many, but one of the key ones that I'll just hit on for a moment is the obsessive thoughts that we can go through. The ones that says, I'll be alone forever. Or all of this happened because of me. It's all my fault. Right? When you catch yourself in that loop, in that cycle, you got to break it. You got to cut it. This is my imaginary scissors right here. Cut that cycle. Right? Instead, I want to challenge you. Right? Challenge yourself. Ask yourself, is that 100% true? So if I say, you know what, this is all my fault that we broke up, ask yourself, is it 100% truth? And you're going to find that rarely it is, right? Just rarely it's going to be 100%, one person's fault. And what you're really doing is you're pushing against that cycle, you're breaking it, you're allowing yourself to heal. If this is helping you move forward, I want you for a moment, hit the like button on the video, share the video with somebody close to your life, subscribe. And by the way, there's a podcast too called The Couch. I'd love for you to join that one. You can find it on Apple, any of those major places there. Topics like these and then many others are going to, just mental health, mental wellness. Now, right, as you navigate that healing process, you're gonna move into this next section, which goes into purpose. Right, purpose gives you life. Purpose gives you intention. It helps you go know where you're going. Right, so there will come a day, when that immense pain that you feel right now, right, especially that fresh pain after a breakup, it's the loudness is gonna just quiet down. It won't take up the whole room. It won't feel like it's taking up your whole life. Right, and as it gets quiet, that's when you start to shift, right, from healing to building. That's pretty nice, right? Healing to building. Purpose necessarily isn't something that you find, right? I'm not going to get my coffee mug here and then start to kind of look and say, where is purpose in there, right? Purpose is something you can build, and you could build it through action, right? Daily action. So you gotta find something to help you with that. And I like to get just something simple. I'll get like this, right? Paper, get my pen. And then I'll write down maybe five words that define my core values. And it could be those words are adventure. Maybe the words are curiosity. Maybe they are wellness, whatever they are. You find yours. Maybe one of yours is learning or community. And then if you have those words in there, you start to act on them, right? You start to engage in micro little, let's call it missions, micro missions, where you list out, right? You list out these words, and the words really are, in essence, like a value, right? So you list them out, you list out these words, these values, and let's say if one of them is community. Well, you know what you do during that week? You honor it. You spend time with it. So it could be that you go spend time with a friend, you go spend time with a peer, right? You really nourish it. I think about values. Just helps me. It may help you. I think about values like a plant, right? So I got plants. I need to water the plants because I don't want them to go bad. Now, the goal isn't to fix life, right, overnight. I don't think it's ever the goal, right? We can't fix things that fast. It takes time. It's instead to look in the mirror and to prove to yourself, I got this. I can heal. I can move forward. I can find direction. And those small wins, right? It doesn't have to be this giant thing that you do. I like to look at micro, right? Tiny little wins, small, medium, big, all of those, right? They create momentum. They move you forward, right? They move you forward. They move you into the values that give you meaning, that give you life. And then you start to really live in that purpose. The goal isn't to get back, right, to the person that you were before, right, when you were in the relationship, right? That season has passed. It's you, right? You're becoming someone new, right? And that new version of you is it's like forged and welded and put together, right, by you through healing. Right, it's all that rubble, as I mentioned in the beginning. Right, the storm came and it hit the city or the town, and there's rubble everywhere. Right, now there's like new life coming in, and I think about new life as like plants. Right, they're just producing after the city got hit, and it's coming through you. It's guided by you. Right, you're not broken. You're becoming. You're healing. I'd love for you to plug some of these things in. If you find that some of them are just a little bit hard to reach, that's where working with like a counselor can be really helpful. If you're here in the local GSO area, Greensboro area, or North Carolina, I practice Santos Counseling. More than happy to be of help. Comment below. Write down one value. Why don't you start there? Comment, write down one value from your list that you're going to be really just committed to. And take it small, right? I like the idea of missions, like micro missions. This is your life. Heal, go build it. I appreciate you taking time to watch, like, subscribe, share with a friend. Continue to be part of this community. I'll see you in the next video.